Donald Trump shows up on the TV.
Oh no.
Like he goes to the UFC fight. And the entire sports bar erupts into chanting USA.
Oh my God. It never ceases to amaze me how out of touch modern leftists can be with reality.
Moved to Florida. Things have been going great. Love the weather. St. Petersburg is beautiful. I'm obsessed. However, it has been hard to make friends, which is natural as an adult. It's really difficult. I work from home. I live alone. I live in a house even. There's just like
I am so shocked that she lives alone.
no way to meet people. So I downloaded the Meetup app and I went to a Meetup event. Met a lot of cool people. Exchanged numbers. Got this one from a girl. Super cute. Fun. And she invited me. And this is, let me just make this clear. She invited me to a UFC fight.
The horror.
To watch a UFC fight at a sports bar. You don't.
First of all, the level of condescension that people like this have is gross. It's just gross. You can tell already from the way she's talking, the way she's conducting herself, she thinks she's better than anyone who would presume to go see a UFC fight for entertainment as being acceptable.
You don't need to know much about me to know. That's not really my scene.
This person just met you. Why should they know much about you at all? Narcissism. There are recurring themes with these types of people. Me, 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 me. They should know about me. Same thing with expecting someone to honor your preferred pronouns. It's like you have to do extensive biographical research on someone to find out if you should refer to them as these or they, them, blah, blah, blah. Narcissism. Self-centered main character syndrome.
No, it's not. But are we desperate? Yes. I start thinking, you know what? Hemingway liked to fight. Maybe some of these people are also really into classic literature. That was really sweet of me. That was really sweet of me to think.
Really? Again, this intellectual superiority complex is gross. You look ridiculous when you say things like this. Like this air of arrogance and superiority, again, that this narcissist has about herself is so classic on the left in modern culture. Just this, well...
Hemingway liked to fight, so perhaps maybe they're as intellectual as me and they love classical literature too.
And then she does her dumb little... It was so sweet of me to presume that. Gross, man.
But basically it looked like a frat party. Duh. Which is, again, fine. I'm there to chat with the girlies. Conversations were leaning conservative about vaccines and...
Notice she put the little note about book banning, which is, of course, this preferred narrative that the left pushes about places like Florida, where they call it book banning if a particular school system doesn't want pornographic books available to their grade school children. This is like spoon-fed MSNBC garbage.
Then, you know, Donald Trump shows up on the TV.
Oh, no.
Like he goes to the UFC fight. And the entire sports bar erupts into chanting USA.
Oh my God. They take pride in living in the freest, best country in the world? The horror. Can you imagine? Wait, why were they not full of self-hatred? This is incredible. Can you believe it? The nerve.
USA. USA. I, first of all, am now floating above my body watching from above, going, how did this happen? Trying to stay calm, trying to act normal.
Just think about that. This is a crisis situation for someone with this ideology. People who chant USA, people who take pride in their country, people who believe in America. That's a problem for this individual. They're offended by the American flag. They're offended by people chanting USA. They're offended by people who like Donald Trump. And of course, this is a self-professed liberal, someone who should believe in the concept of democracy, which of course would allow you to cheer on your preferred candidate. But no. This is a big deal. Oh my God, they support someone I don't support. The gall that these people have down here in Florida, which is somewhere I chose to move because right-leaning policies have made it a prosperous place, mind you.
The sweet girl next to me goes, what can I say? I love the guy.
Total malfunction. Just cannot comprehend that a sweet girl likes a president who brought no new wars to a country, economic prosperity to a country, deregulation to a country, lowest unemployment amongst all demographics to a country, a locked up border that didn't allow illegal immigrants coming into the country and taking entitlements from deserving American citizens and committing crimes against American citizens. The nerve. Oh my God, can you believe it? It's like her little brain is just struggling at this point. It doesn't compute that people might actually evaluate the qualities of a president based on objective policy things versus emotional character traits and narratives she's been spoon-fed inevitably by mainstream media.
I called an Uber almost immediately. I almost started crying in the bar.
I called an Uber almost immediately. I almost started crying in the bar. Now think about this. Let's reverse the roles. Let's say a Florida resident goes to New York and they're in a bar doing something, I don't know, probably not watching a UFC event if we're going to make this analogy parallel in every way. They're in a bar with someone they just met, and the people there all support Joe Biden and they're chanting Black Lives Matter, for example. Now, this conservative from Florida who supports Donald Trump might not like the fact that they're chanting Black Lives Matter, but do you think in any scenario in our current political cultural climate, that person would be brought to tears because of it? No. In fact, she'd probably laugh about it. Like, can you believe I went in this New York bar, these people all supported Joe Biden, and they still support the corrupt Black Lives Matter organization that took millions of dollars and invested in mansions for themselves? Ha 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 ha. That's the difference between the two sides. This person was brought to tears by the thought that people support Donald Trump, whereas someone on the right, in fact, I've never seen a scenario, and you guys maybe tell me if I'm wrong, but I've never seen a scenario where someone on the right, let's say a young person on the right, was so offended by the fact that people supported Joe Biden that they were brought to tears. Therein lies the true difference, in my humble opinion, between both sides. One side is facts over feelings, to use an overused cliche. The other side is feelings over facts. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Orange man bad. Mean tweets. Don't like Donald Trump. It's totally okay to have an open border, terrible economy, wars breaking out everywhere, as long as I feel good emotionally. And again, narcissism. Me. Whereas the other side is, hey man, I don't like the fact that we have millions of illegals pouring into the country, undocumented, committing crimes in the interior of our country. I don't like the fact that our economy is trash. I don't like the fact that we're involved in interventionist wars, regime change wars that, by the way, we're generally funding both sides in many ways. And we're ultimately the root cause of in many ways, whether you're talking about Russia and Ukraine, with us pushing NATO closer and closer and closer to Putin when we said we wouldn't, and funding Zelensky, by the way, a regime that we helped create via the coup in 2014. We got our hands all in these foreign conflicts under Joe Biden. Israel, Palestine. I mean, we're funding both sides of that. Give me a break, right? We are. the taxpayers, the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, all these objective evaluations of the current state of foreign affairs that people take a look at and say, hey man, I don't like that. I'm going to vote for the other guy who had none of that. It just boggles the mind of people like this woman on the left who are like unable to compute that people might care about objective policy matters that make their lives, the lives of their families, and the lives of their neighbors better versus being a drone for the mainstream media and caring about,
he's bad, I don't like him, I don't like the way he talks.
I've used this analogy many times, and then I'm going to wrap this thing up. Let's say you need heart surgery. You got two surgeons to choose from. One of them is a brash, outspoken, bombastic type of person, and you don't really like the way he conducts himself, but it's undeniable that he will fix your heart. He's got a track record. He's always at the top ranks of cardiac surgeons in America. Or you've got a guy who's kind of aloof, not the brightest, not the best or anything like that, but you find him to be more palatable as far as his attitude goes, but he's got a horrible track record. He's dealt with malpractice suits. He's botched a lot of surgeries, but you like his attitude. Let's say that. You like his attitude. Now, which heart surgeon are you going to choose? The guy who will absolutely fix your heart, but he's kind of a dick? Or the guy who's probably going to mess up in some capacity, but you don't think he's as offensive? Give me the good surgeon every day of the week. And that's what Americans who have IQs in the 100-point range are realizing. That's why people like Michael Rappaport are now potentially voting for Trump. That's why you see all of these people coming over to the Trump side because they're like, look, man, I don't like the guy, but my God, I do not want 4 more years of what I've been dealing with under the Biden administration. And people who are so ideologically captured as this woman cannot compute that. They can't fathom why people would switch teams because that's what it is to them. It's a tribal team thing. It's a blue no matter who. I guarantee you this woman can't name one policy of Joe Biden's that she likes. And if she can name one, she can't give you any sort of granular detail about that policy. Meanwhile, if you take a general survey of Trump supporters, they will tell you what they liked about him. They will tell you they liked no new wars, strong economy, First Step Act, permanent funding for HBCUs, the Abraham Accords, and on and on and on. And look, whether you think the Abraham Accords were a good idea, that's debatable. But people have their objective policy reasons for supporting Donald Trump. Can't say that for people on the left, like this person who went into an emotional spiral over the thought that people in a red state might support a Republican candidate. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. I'll continue to explore the deep, dark recesses of the internet to bring you social, political, cultural content that I think you might be interested in. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Until next time, bye.